Winning Blueprint presents.
In the lab room.
Welcome, you're in the lab room. I'm your host, Luke. Thank you for joining me. It's Monday, a lot to get to in the National Football League. A couple of things happened over the weekend, and so we'll touch on a few things that I feel like are pertinent and need to be discussed here in the lab room as we start to draw closer towards the NFL draft. We're about a month away from the draft, and so we'll start picking up our draft coverage here in the lab room very rapidly as the draft will be here before you know it. Just like free agency kind of snuck up on us, the draft will do the same. And so we'll start talking about the draft and all the teams that have first round picks, all the teams in general, and what they should be looking for out of the draft and what they need to be targeting with their picks. And so we'll be talking about that down the road. But today, here in the lab room, few items to get to, few issues to tackle. And let's start with Elvis Dumerville. Elvis has entered the building in Baltimore, of all places. And it really came down to two teams, if what I'm hearing is correct. Came down to his former team, the Denver Broncos, and the Baltimore Ravens, and he had to make a decision. And it was going to be hard for him to go back to Denver after this whole ordeal took place. You knew it was going to be hard for him to kind of put his ego aside and say, hey, you know what? You guys made a mistake. I made a mistake. Let's just hatch it up, get over it, and let's go back to work. It's going to be hard. Guys don't do that in the National Football League. It's just hard for you to look the other way and ignore why you're not in Denver at this very moment. And so it was going to be hard for him to go back to Denver. It was going to have to be a situation where the Broncos were offering more money than anyone else was offering, and it wasn't close. That was going to be the only way he was going to be back in Denver. And by the Broncos wanting to slash significantly the amount of money he was going to be making in the 2013 season, you knew that they weren't going to be paying well above everyone else on the market. And so there was no way, in my estimation, that Elvis Dumerville was going to end up back in Denver. Now, it was a possibility, but to me, it was a very small one. Even though he narrowed it down to them in Baltimore, the Ravens were really going to have to box this one for him to end up not in Baltimore. And so it's a 5-year, $35 million deal. And I said that he wasn't going to find a situation where he was going to be making $8 per, which is what he would have been making in Denver this season. I can't speak for it down the road. I don't know the specifics of his contract beyond 2013 in Denver and what it looked like, but I knew he was supposed to make 12, and the Broncos wanted to slash it down to 8, and he was fine with that. After the tug of war with the Broncos back and forth, he was willing to settle for that $8 million salary in the 2013 season, and I felt like he wasn't going to get that with another franchise in the National Football League for one season. And so you look at his contract, 5 years, $35 million, and something that we like to do in this industry, myself included. I can't even disassociate myself from everyone else. We like to look at deals, and we really like to look at them in terms of years and money. And we see 5 years and we see $35 million, and we just assume, okay, $7 million per year. But as we all know, that's not exactly how it breaks down. You don't just look at a deal and do simple math. Hey, 5 years, $35 million, $7 million per. It's never that easy. It's never that simple. His deal is one that guarantees him up to $12 million. He signed a 5-year, $35 million deal. His base salary in 2013 will be $1 million. So, no, he's not making a base salary of $8 million, but this is how he's going to make up the difference. There's a $7.5 million signing bonus. So right there, the base salary in conjunction with the signing bonus nets him more money than he would have been making in Denver in the 2013 calendar year. So you look at it and you say, hey, Elvis Dumervil came out better by signing this deal with the Ravens. At least on the surface in 2013, he came out better. Now, again, moving forward, I don't know what the deal looked like in Denver and what it would have called for him to make in 2014, 2015. I don't know anything about that. All I know is that in the 2013 season, he was slated to make $12 million in Denver. They were going to slash it down to $8 million. And so he still would have been making $8 million in the 2013 season. So in Baltimore, essentially, he'll be walking home with about $8.5 million when it's all said and done. And according to some sources, there potentially is a $3.5 million injury bonus as well. So if he stays healthy, he could make about $12 million in the upcoming year. So Elvis Dumervil made some more money for himself in this deal with Baltimore. Now, what does the contract look like after the first year? I'd have to go back and do my homework and look at it and see what the contract actually says for 2014 and 2015. And he won't see the life of this contract, and that's why you can never look at a contract and say, hey, this is a 5-year, $35 million contract, because he won't see the last 2 years of this deal probably. He'll probably see the first 3 years of this deal. By the time he gets to the fourth year, when this is probably a $9 or $10 million cap hit for the Ravens, they'll get out of this thing and either re-up this deal and restructure it, or he won't be playing at a high enough level to warrant the type of money that will be coming his way in the back half of that deal, and they'll just get rid of him. And so Elvis Dumervil did well for himself, is what I'm trying to say. I didn't think he would find a way to make the kind of money he would have been making in Denver in the 2013 season. I was wrong. He made even more money by signing this deal with the Baltimore Ravens. And this is a good move for the Ravens, a team that is really hurting by losing 8 of their starters from a season ago. This is one way to help make up that difference and kind of close that gap that you need to close from losing all of the players that you lost from your Super Bowl championship roster. And so this is one step in the right direction for the Ravens to get back to the level that they need to be at to try and defend their Super Bowl championship. So this is a big move for the Ravens, and they could possibly not be done. James Harrison is still out there, and if you're the Ravens, he could be someone that you might target in free agency. Who knows? They may not be done yet. James Harrison might be coming on to the team as well. Look, he was supposed to be their secondary option. If they weren't able to land Dumervil, they were going to go after Harrison. Maybe they can get both of them. We'll see. I don't think the Ravens are done yet in free agency, though. I think they still have some more moves to make, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they went out there and got a guy like James Harrison and brought him into the mix and really tried to stick it to a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll see. But that's a huge move for the Ravens and for Elvis Dumervil as well. So you look at a few teams that are normally big spenders this time of the year, and they just don't have any cap money in the Washington Redskins and the Dallas Cowboys. And it's funny because a story has just been released out of Dallas that they have several free agents coming through for visits, yet they don't have any money to sign these guys, which to me makes absolutely no sense. If you are one of these players, the Cowboys must have something up their sleeve, because Michael Huff, Will Allen, and Justin Durant all paid a visit to Dallas. And if you're the Cowboys, what's the point of this if you don't have any money to sign these guys? If you're one of these players and you know the Cowboys don't have any money, what's the point of this visit? So that tells me that something has to be on the horizon, or the Cowboys know a way that they can free up some cap space. And it's funny because the Redskins and the Cowboys love to spend money this time of the year. They love to upgrade their rosters around this time. And the reason why both of these teams don't have any money are for two separate issues, but they're one and the same. The Redskins don't have any money because of the cap penalties levied down by the National Football League. Two $18 million cap hits in consecutive years, totaling $36 million over the last 2 seasons. That $18 million cap hit has really hurt the Redskins in free agency this year, more so than it did last year. For the Cowboys, they have a cap penalty that was levied down on them, another $5 million from the NFL. But that's not the reason the Cowboys don't have any money. The real reason they don't have any money is because Jerry Jones has made so many bad deals over the last couple of years. You look at Miles Austin's deal. That's a lot of money for a guy that hasn't really produced the way you would like him to. Doug Free got an enormous deal for a guy that you thought was going to be your left tackle. they had to move him over to right tackle because he was so bad at the left tackle position. And then you look at Jay Ratliff, a guy that they paid an enormous amount of money to. And again, he probably warranted that deal when he got it. However, he's been injured and they haven't gotten the production out of Jay Ratliff that they once did. And so you look at those deals in conjunction with the cap hit from the league, and the Cowboys simply don't have any money. They have about $100K under the cap, and that's not going to sign anyone, especially 3 different guys that you have in your facility. And so the Cowboys are hurting in free agency right now, and they need to upgrade this safety position. This safety position hasn't had any substance, any star power since the days of Darren Woodson, Roy Williams, and even Roy Williams had his flaws and was questionable back there at the safety position as well, but at least he would hit someone. And the Cowboys don't have anything at safety and haven't for a long time now. And so it's going to be interesting to see what the Cowboys are going to do to free up some cap space. If they're able to reach a long-term deal with Tony Romo or possibly Anthony Spencer and take those big cap numbers off the books, yeah, they'll be able to sign some guys. But until they're able to reach a long-term deal with Anthony Spencer and remove that franchise tag, or reach a long-term agreement with Tony Romo and get rid of that huge cap number that he's sporting right now, the Cowboys won't be able to do anything in free agency. Meanwhile, the Redskins won't be able to do anything because they just don't have any money. And $18 million hurts. The Cowboys, $5 million, you can get past that. $18 million on the cap, and the NFL just comes in and reaches in your pocket and takes $18 million out. It's hard to overcome that type of money. And so the Redskins haven't done what the Cowboys have done yet. And the Cowboys went into exodus mode where they just started calling in high-priced veterans left and right and telling them, hey, we need you to restructure your deal. They called in DeMarcus Ware, Jason Witten, and Brandon Carr and asked them all to restructure their deals, and they have done so. And so that has helped the Cowboys out in a tremendous way, yet they're still only $100K under the cap, so they have a long way to go. Meanwhile, the Redskins haven't really went that route yet, and they have that route that they can explore, but I don't know what they're waiting on. If they're going to do it, they need to go ahead and start doing it before they lose a guy like Fred Davis in free agency because they don't have any money to re-sign him. And so you look at another story right now, and that's a big story that's trending around the league right now, and that's O.C. Umenyiora potentially landing in Atlanta. And look, who didn't see this one coming? The Falcons need a veteran pass rusher. They let go of their veteran pass rusher in John Abraham in the offseason, and so they need to replace him with a guy that can come in and get to the quarterback, something that they lacked through their postseason run in the 2012 postseason. They did not have anyone that could get to the quarterback. They were missing that presence. They need someone to come in. O.C. Umenyiora, by all accounts, seems to be the guy that they're targeting in free agency, and I think they're going to find a way to work out something with O.C. Umenyiora. Per Thomas Dimitroff, right now, the contract negotiations with O.C. Umenyiora are fluid. And so anything could happen. Something could be happening as we speak. And they could have a deal in principle in place by the end of today. You don't know what's going to happen with this situation. But the Falcons don't have a lot of time. And so a guy like O.C. Umenyiora coming in is going to help them tremendously. I thought that the Falcons would look for someone younger, someone that could come in and potentially do damage now and into the future, like a Cliff Averill, like a Michael Bennett. But I realized something. The Atlanta Falcons are on borrowed time, and they still have a lot of young pieces on their team and guys that have a lot of football left in front of them. But if they're looking to win a Super Bowl with the core group that they have now, they only have about a window of 1 to 3 years, and 3 is pushing it. It's more like 1 to 2 years. And really, if you want the Falcons to have their best chance to win, the most optimal chance to win the Super Bowl would be in 2013. Because you're only getting 1 year out of Tony Gonzalez. That's next season. Steven Jackson, you may only get 1 good season out of Steven Jackson. So if you're the Falcons, you need everything to happen now. And you can't rely on a guy to come in and potentially be at his best in 3 seasons, like Cliff Averill might be, like Michael Bennett might be. You need a guy that's going to be at his best in 2013. And O.C. Umenyiora does not have 3 good seasons of football left in him probably. He may only have 2. And his best season that may happen with the Falcons, if he does sign with them, may be in 2013, and that's exactly what the Falcons need. They need a guy that's going to come in and play his best football in 2013 because they need everyone's best in 2013 because you're only getting Tony for 1 year. You might only get the best of Steven Jackson for 1 year. And so if you're the Falcons, you need the best pass rushing threat you can get now. Osi Umenyiora may be the one that can give that to you. And he's a guy that gets to the quarterback with intentions of forcing a turnover. He's not looking to just get to the quarterback and get a sack. Osi Umenyiora, over his career, has been one of the best defensive ends at getting his hands on the football and forcing turnovers. And so the Falcons are looking for a guy that not only can get them 12.5 sacks, but can get them 12.5 sacks with 6 forced fumbles, and 5 of those turn into turnovers that yield the football back to the Atlanta Falcons. That's what they're looking for, and Osi Umenyiora is a guy that can give them that. And so I think this is going to be a huge deal for the Atlanta Falcons. They need to find a way to get Osi Umenyiora into the fold, and I feel like they will. And it'll be a great move for both parties involved if Osi Umenyiora, in fact, is an Atlanta Falcon. So that's a touchdown. Go ahead and throw it up. I'm going to tack on this quick extra point. And I was looking at the Carolina Panthers, and it was funny because it really didn't dawn on me until I read an article over the weekend about the Panthers and how all of their deals that they've signed for free agents, in free agency, in the market, has only been 1-year deals. And I scratched my head, and then I thought about it, and I said, you know what? They're signing these 1-year deals, and their GM, Dave Gettleman, who has just been brought on board this offseason, he's not tying himself to Ron Rivera. He's giving Ron Rivera 1 year and 1 year only to get his act together. Because, most times when a GM comes in, he wants his head coach. He doesn't want the old coach who got the last GM fired there. He wants a new guy in there. He wants his guy. And so Dave Gettleman came in, and I think that the Panthers brass, Jerry Richardson, and that group really liked Ron Rivera a lot, what he was able to do at the end of the 2012 season, how he was able to get this team to band together and win 4 straight to finish up the season. When this season looked lost, like the Panthers were on track and on pace for a 3-13 finish or a 4-12 or 5-11 finish, they finished up 7-9. And so Ron Rivera finishing the season so strong gave Jerry Richardson a vote of confidence that, hey, I can go with this guy again in 2013 and see if he can get it done. I'll give him one more shot. And so Dave Gettleman really didn't have a choice. He had to allow Ron Rivera the rope to hang himself. And so now he's given him an option to go out and get players, but he says, you're only getting 1-year deals out of it because I don't want to be tied to you or other players in bad contracts if we allow guys to sign with us. If you don't work and you get the guys that you wanted in here and the next coach doesn't want these guys and we sign guys up to bad contracts, guess who's going to be stuck with it? That's right, me. And I don't want to have that on my hands. You won't cause me my job like he caused the last GM his job. And so I'm going to sign these guys to 1-year deals, give them a chance to prove themselves, give you a chance to get these guys to prove themselves, and see if you can turn this into a winner. If not, you and those guys will be gone all next season. And I found that to be very interesting. So what that says to me is, Ron Rivera, you got one shot. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to go because opportunity knocks once in a lifetime. You better go in the 2013 season or you're going to be fired and looking for some defensive coordinator work. And that's going to do it for this edition of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me here on this Monday afternoon. A lot that we were able to get to. And so there are many ways to contact the show. There's Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. There's Twitter. At In the Lab Room is the Twitter handle. There is YouTube. Louis T is the page. Subscribe. And there's also the inbox. inthelabrooom@gmail.com is the inbox. If you have not done so, please subscribe to the page. I thank you for joining me today. As always, want to see you back here. Same time, same place. Have a good one. Take care. Want to see you back here. Same place tomorrow. Have a good one.